Thanks for listening to The Audit, presented by IT Audit Labs. Today, we will be speaking with Matt Starland about all things crypto, including a brief history of its mysterious origins. We'll also talk about how to secure your cryptocurrency with a hardware or software wallet. You're not going to want to miss a moment of today's episode, so get comfortable and stay tuned.
So I'm going to kick off by saying we have Eric Brown, we have Nick Mellum representing IT Audit Labs. My name is Joshua Schmidt. I'm the producer of the show. Today we have reoccurring guest Matt Starland, who works for Ramsey County, and we are going to dive into all things crypto. It's going to be a bit of a crypto guide today, but stick around because Matt's going to show us how to use a hardware wallet. I think most people are probably familiar with Coinbase, software wallets, which is what I use, but I think we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive on those software wallets, hardware wallets, maybe the difference between them, and then learn a little bit about crypto in general. So thanks for being on the show today, Matt. Want to kick it off and tell us what you know about the history and the origins of crypto?
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me on. Well, before we start getting into all this financial, legal type discussion, my lawyers and all that stuff. Well, not really my lawyers didn't say anything. I don't even have a lawyer, so maybe I even shouldn't say that one.
You should always say my team.
Kept going with yeah, my lawyers, I got lots of them. They're all on my crypto, and anyway, so
we've been advised.
Yeah,
we've been advised to say this.
So anyways, we'll just say this. The information discussed on this podcast is not intended as and shall not be understood or construed as financial advice. We are not attorneys, accountants, or financial advisors, nor are we holding ourselves out to be. And the information discussed is not a substitute for financial advice from a professional who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation or your organization's situation. And sometimes this can get a little political, so we might as well cover our bases. So the views expressed by Matt Starland are solely his views. Those views and opinions do not necessarily represent the hosts of IT Audit Labs or IT Audit Labs in general. Okay, great. I think I got the lawyers off our backs now.
Absolutely. All about it.
All right. So, crypto, it started back around the late to 09, 08, somewhere around there, by someone going by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. You can go to bitcoin.org, where all this starts, and download this anonymous person or group's white paper on why they started cryptocurrency. I guess to give you a high level overview of it is really to create a form of currency that does not devaluate, or is not able to be, I should say not devaluate, but it doesn't devaluate based off of, because more of it can be made and made and made and made. For example, the United States dollar, it's all centrally controlled and it can be printed as needed. You start to get into inflation and other things, market issues, and so their goal was to create a currency that is solid, and once it meets the full amount of currency that exists, this cryptocurrency that you can purchase, there won't be any more made. So it'll be done, and I think they've got, from what I heard, the mining that's left on it is maybe got 100 years left, and then all crypto or all Bitcoin, at least when we're talking specifically about Bitcoin here, will be done. So, but there's many other flavors of cryptocurrency out there, and that's where we're going to talk about today. How do you trade, and how do you send it? How do you receive it with a hardware wallet? But why would you choose a hardware wallet versus a software wallet? Well, like you were giving an example before, Josh, about Coinbase, and even bringing up PayPal, and there's other financial companies out there too. I think Fidelity was one that I just saw come across. I believe they're starting to now get involved with their clients being able to trade crypto. Well, with a software-based wallet like that, You can, go to the web page, go to Coinbase, whatever, download the app on your computer or even your smartphone, sign up for an account, and away tie it to your bank account and start trading right there and then.
I saw that there was over 22,000 different cryptocurrencies. I think you were mentioning Bitcoin had like maybe 100 years or so, but there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies. I think, there's we've heard of Dogecoin or Dogecoin, however you want to pronounce it, but Ethereum and certainly the more popular ones, but there's also like a pizza coin and other kitschy cryptocurrencies as well. Have any of you other guys tinkered with any non kind of mainstream crypto?
I have quite a few actually, but Dogecoin is one that I do have. And then what's it called? Their names are so random, but Dogecoin was one that I had a bunch of. It was like two years ago where that really spiked. I did have a good chunk of that then too, but yeah, I've had some random ones.
Did you make money?
I did.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I actually did.
I myself was late to the Dogecoin game and lost a few bucks on Dogecoin. I was mostly just in it for the memes and the the yucks, as they say. But I got on the back end of that way too late. So I think that was around the time that the meme stocks were, the stonks, were kind of going crazy with AMC and GameStop. And nothing like a good news cycle to pump and dump some crypto and kind of inflate prices and stuff like that. Matt, are you just into Bitcoin? You got Litecoin, Ethereum? What are you working with, man?
Well, I think if you can see my screen sharing right now, I've got 3 on there. So those are my Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum and just Bitcoin. So those are the ones that I've played around with, whether it's for a long-term investment or just kind of a quick turnaround. Let's make a quick buck and send the kids off to a vacation spot down in Texas somewhere.
Maybe you could tell us kind of what your trading strategy is, because I got in early enough where I could kind of pull the principal out. So everything I'm working with at this point is kind of fun money, which makes me feel a lot better about some of my bad decisions.
I've split it, like I said, I've split it up into 2 different kind of, we'll say, pots. One, here's my fun money, and hey, I'm going to just throw $100 at this and see what happens, or few $100 or whatever, and then watch it go up and down. But I kind of look for those big spikes. If you look at the long-term history, the long-term charts of Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, usually when crypto comes out, you always see this giant spike. Yeah, everyone's getting involved, something that, or if it's seems like it's going to be a mainstream one, then of course it settles down. But it seems like whenever there's certain market fluctuations, there's always this giant spike for a period of time. But when you look at the chart, it never seems to settle back down to where it was just before that spike. It's always, it might come to here, level out. And then it might sit here, it might go down, up a little, but then there's another spike, but then it levels out a little bit higher. So, that's been my own little personal strategy for the main ones here. Otherwise, when you start getting into some of those other one-offs that are just trying to spin up here and there, I couldn't even tell you much of anything on. So what I've done is the long-term stuff, like, I don't touch. Like, I look at that as almost kind of like a retirement in a way.
Yeah.
But then the other pot is I'm kind of watching those waves, seeing how they go, waiting for that spike, and then I'll just kind of pull the trigger and, great, I made a little bit of cash here. So,
how about you, Eric? When did you get in, and how are you sitting?
I got in around the same time as you, when Musk was making some noise about the Dogecoin or Dogecoin, and it was down around like 16 cents, and then it was really going up. So I grabbed a little bit, then got in, got right back out, made a little bit on that, and then rather than going in on the wallet, because I never really dove in enough to figure out the wallet piece, and I'm looking forward to hearing how Matt talks about how he'll manage the coin in the wallet. I did it through a brokerage, so it was just easier for me to let them hold the currency, and then I could easily translate it into cash and not have to worry about going through the marketplaces myself. But that only works on the handful of mainstream currencies. I think if you want to get into some of the more niche currency, you do need to have the wallet. So I'm looking forward to learning about that today too.
It's been my experience that some of the niche currencies are a little more volatile, and I've even read articles that say, a lot of them are Ponzi schemes or just kind of get, cash in quick, money making schemes for some of these corporations and companies that are coming up. Nick, have you had any experience with the niche coins?
Yeah, I'm looking at my wallet right now, and the ones that I was previously, trading was Shiba Inu. I don't know if you guys have heard that one.
Yeah.
And then Dogelon Mars. I think that's how. So definitely the meme coins, but those are the ones that really had a giant kickoff, right? So if you can get in right before that and then, dump after that, I've had good luck with those ones, but I'm far from an expert. I just, it's just fun and, tinker around with it. So
Matt, you've been in this game for a little while now. Maybe you could give us a little more insight on, how it got from, the early days of crypto and the white paper for Bitcoin to, where we're at now, and kind of an overview of that.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of it comes down to just the financial stability of government financial systems, of just being able to print money, what they call fiat currency. And so I believe that, as more and more people are starting to, get aware of that aspect of it, to try and maybe diversify their funds into another form of currency. So if something ever happens, I guess going back, you look at the Weimar Republic back in the early 20th century. So right around the time that Germany was going through post World War One, they had hyperinflation, where their currency would just go up not go up, but they were printing money like crazy to try and stave off certain economical issues. And, in the morning, a loaf of bread, for example, we'll just say it was 1,000 Deutschmark, and at the end of the day, it might be 10,000 Deutschmark. And so, and that's kind of, I think, the point what we're getting at here is that this decentralized currency is no longer being held by just one governing authority, and they are the sole owner of how it's managed and maintained. And we trust that it's accurate all the time, where now you've distributed these ledgers through hundreds or thousands of computers, and all of them have copies of each other and can make sure that they're corrected and accurate. So I think that's one part of it. But the other part is like what we're just talking about with all these little one-off currencies coming up, that people are maybe seeing how it has some wild swings. They're hearing about what this thing's worth. Bitcoin's worth $30,000 now, and it was worth $5,000 last year. Let's get into it. So there's also those looking at it from the quick buck perspective. So I think those are probably the main two views or reasons behind why we're starting to see so many different cryptos, starting to show up, and also the increase in value of the main ones.
It seems that there's a couple of countries using cryptocurrency, or specifically Bitcoin, as an official currency in that country. El Salvador and the Central African Republic are two that use it. And I know there's other countries too that also use the U.S. dollar as their currency. I think a few more than those two, but I think that's real interesting, just showing the times that we're in, that there are countries actually using crypto as an official currency because of runaway inflation or corruption or whatever in that country.
Yeah. So to that point, Eric, is that, you look at the American dollar was based on the gold standard. And I believe it was like in the late 70s where we the U.S. divorced ourselves from the gold standard. So we had to keep the right amount of dollars to correspond with the amount of gold we had. And then after that, it became a faith-based, we'll say, currency where people invest in the United States dollar because they're putting their trust in the United States government and economy. And so then they base their currencies off the U.S. dollar, keep hoping that, the dollar will stay stable. And so what people are starting to see the different, government instability that might be coming around, or the swing in party views. So the distrust possibly here from the United States government is starting to falter, or is not as strong as it was. So these countries, like you're saying, are looking at other ways to be able to tie their currency to something that's much going to be more stable. And again, this is where cryptocurrency comes in, because there's no one governing authority. Everyone has to keep each other in check.
Now, Eric, you said you use a brokerage. I've been using Coinbase since the beginning. I know there's a few other options out there. Matt, do you know much about other exchanges, or what do you like to use?
For some of my fun money, I'll say I like to use like the software-based wallet, which is Coinbase. There's PayPal. Like I said, some of the other financial firms I've heard of is like Fidelity is getting involved with it. So the only two ones I've really played around with is PayPal and Coinbase. Yeah, it's nice because it's just how quick it is. You fire up your iPhone. Oh, yep, buy, and away you go. You got it there instantly. But there's risk there. And this is kind of why we have that topic today of the hardware wallet. With the software wallet, it's not the same as like your bank in US dollars. So, your bank is FDIC insured up to $250,000, I believe it is. And so if something ever happens to that, you'll see up to that amount. If you got a lot of money in your software wallet, and when I say money, not in cash reserves like US dollars, but it's actually in that crypto. If that software wallet ever gets hacked, or the company gets hacked in general, and somehow they get a hold of all the private keys that is being held by all the different wallets, or just something happens to the company in general, that money's gone.
So Matt, you say it's gone. I've certainly heard that concept. Let's say you have 5 Bitcoin, equating roughly to the $100,000 that you're talking about, 4 and change, I think, in today's conversion. That coin is registered to the blockchain. How is it gone if something happens to that brokerage?
It's not gone per se in the blockchain. So this is where public and the cryptography comes in. The Coinbase and PayPal, they have your private keys. And so in order to generate a public key, you take your private key, run it through an algorithm. We'll say, for example, SHA-256, that spits out a new key. Well, that new key we'll call it your public key. And the public key is what the ledger has. It has no idea about your private key. It only knows about your public key. If you don't know what that private key is or had any access to it anymore, your public key still has that money associated with it, but there's no way you'll ever get it back, because there's no way for you to prove to the ledger anymore that you can reproduce that public key based off of the private key you had. Because with that public-private key cryptography, once you run your key through that algorithm, it is a one-way algorithm. Like, there's no way you can reverse that public key to figure out the private key. It's like, with all the computing power in the world, it's not even possible. Maybe if we get to quantum computing someday, it might have the ability to reverse that. But the number is so ridiculously complex and that it cannot even be reversed. So
good thing we had an episode on quantum computing recently. Matt, that what you're talking about, losing your the crypto, wasn't that recently in the news? Like about last November, like FTX, didn't they suffer a big loss?
I don't remember exactly who it was, but I remember hearing something about that. But that's exactly what happened. They lost their private keys. So the ledger will have the public key forever, but until the day you can find your private key, that's the only way you'll ever be able to move those transactions. So it will sit there for eternity on the ledger, assuming the ledger never just something happens to all computer systems in the world, or everyone gets rid of that ledger system.
So if you're going through a brokerage like Fidelity that you mentioned, or Robinhood, they are holding all of those private keys. You don't have access to them. You're trusting them to hold them in a secure and reproducible way.
Yeah, and I haven't looked deep enough yet to see if there's a way to export those. So that would be something to look into. And I'm definitely going to have a takeaway from this. But from what I understand, though, if you don't have, control of those private keys and it's all up there, yeah, if you lose your account access to it or they hacked or something happens to them, it's gone.
We're obviously still in the wild, wild west of the crypto days. How long, in your opinion, do you think it will take to get to, a spot of legitimacy where it's ubiquitous, everybody's hip, everybody knows how to use the wallet, we're using it for daily transactions? Because, you have Sam Bankman-Fried gone to jail. You have, the scandals with Robinhood and their kind of their user agreements, shutting down the meme stocks. I don't think this is under contention, but when everyone started piling into AMC and GameStop, Robinhood shut it down, and a lot of the rhetoric going on online in the crypto community or in the meme community or Reddit or whatever you want to call it was that top down, the man was kind of stopping the masses from taking control over the market. So, and then you've seen crypto being used in nefarious ways. I mean, that's kind of an old story now. I think people are kind of losing interest and it's starting to gain legitimacy. But how long do you guys think it's going to take? It's still kind of wild.
Companies like Dell used to take Bitcoin, so you could go onto Dell.com and buy a computer with Bitcoin, but I think they stopped that somewhere in 2017. Tesla, you used to be able to buy a car, I think at one point, a very limited time, with some form of cryptocurrency, but I haven't seen that. It seemed like it was popular for a while, and now it's on the downswing. Like, wasn't there something where you could buy like coffee or pizza? And I'm talking way back in the day, like 2009 or 10, when Bitcoin first came out, and a pizza might have been like 2 Bitcoin. And now people are just freaking out because if they saved those Bitcoin, they'd have a substantial amount of money.
Instead, they have 2 pizzas.
I've also seen it being used recently for campaign contributions or donations. Are we on track to getting this to a spot of ubiquitous use and legitimacy, or do you think it's going to stay on the fringes?
I feel like it's going to be out there and then never in the fringes for a while yet. Just because of the kind of buzzword we used not too long ago, it's so volatile that it's all over the place. It's so hard to control it right now. And for example, what Musk just said, they pulled the money out of with SpaceX, they pulled out. Look at how big that just affected that market, right? So to me, it's too up and down, I think, for it to be so mainstream. But that's obviously it's very subjective.
Yeah, even my viewpoint too, I've seen, when it comes down to trading it, it's mostly my fellow, we'll call it, geek friends, whatever, cyber friends, those who are involved in the IT industry and know how to really use that stuff. And, I like, being able to throw up your, software wallet on your phone. All right, what's your public key, or scan my QR code? Okay, we'll trade some money. But I feel though at the same time too, that people don't want to always give up their crypto because they're like, well, if that goes up, all of a sudden I gave away that crypto for, I was at the garage sale and the dude was accepting Bitcoin Cash and I gave him 1/10 of a Bitcoin Cash for that chair. And all of a sudden now it was at $90 for that, but now it's $300. So I think there's also that aspect to it. I think people don't want to also miss out and just give up their crypto. So I feel like it is still a little fringe, but it's gaining more awareness because clearly here we are on a podcast, but it's still not to the point where I'm going to go to neighbor, and when I go to their garage sale, we're going to be swapping Bitcoin Cash for items.
And Josh, to your point, I think both what Matt and Nick were talking about is the volatility. So a country like El Salvador, who's takes that as a standard currency, if something is $1 and the equivalent of that is just say, 1/100th of a Bitcoin, and then the next day it's still $1, but the value of the Bitcoin changed, that makes it really tough to use as a mainstream currency if the value is fluctuating. So I don't know what you guys think, but I'm thinking in order for it to be mainstream, there needs to be a cryptocurrency that is less volatile. But I think the reason behind the volatility is because it is not a government-backed currency, and there can be trust in the cryptocurrency unassociated with one particular government, which makes it really nice where you have governments that have corruption and not having currency tied to a regime is really nice, and having a cross-border currency is really nice, but the downside of it is the volatility piece.
And one thing to bear in mind there too is that, the volatility piece isn't the fact that it's the currency itself. Like we're going back to the example of where you just print dollars, and then now there's more dollars into the system. It's a supply and demand volatility. So the United States dollar would have the same issue if countries were constantly dropping and gaining it, it'd be like all over the place. And so that's kind of the same viewpoint we have to have look at this, is that it's got a volatility because people are investing, not investing, not investing. So there's a supply and demand thing that's causing it to go up and down, but that up and down is based on a different currency, which is the United States dollar. So if there were other countries all over the world, like I said, dropping in the United States dollar, and we would see that same thing, I would think, with the United States dollar. It'd be just all over the place. It's worth it, even more so than what we see with inflation.
Let's move it over to Matt, and maybe you could show us how you set up your hardware wallet and maybe talk about some of the differences between, other than the obvious, software and a hardware wallet.
Yeah, exactly. So as we touched on earlier, why one would go into a software wallet because of ease of use, the quick ability to trade, but then the risks that were associated with it. So this is where your hardware wallet comes in. So for example, mine that I'm showing you right now that I've got connected. So this is the Trezor suite. There's other brands out there. Another popular one, for example, is Ledger. But what you're doing is now storing your private key on a little device like this. You don't have somebody hacking an infrastructure to get your private key. Now they have to somehow get a hold of your hardware wallet. You can put a PIN code on it up to like 50 characters long to lock it. What I'm going to show you is my Trezor here and how to set up how to wipe it first, because clearly you can see here there's some cash in here and it's blurred out. And so I'm going to wipe this for your entertainment, the possibility of losing a good chunk of money. And for this audience's education, I am risking the money that is associated with this that I have for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. And then we'll go through what it looks like to set up even a brand new wallet. What is that? I mean, it's the same wallet, right? Or is it, so I should have the same private key? No. When you wipe it and you start up a new wallet, it regenerates a brand new, unique private key on there that's using those algorithms, those cryptographic algorithms that now will have even a different recovery seed. And so that's kind of something I'm going to show later too, is we're going to recover my wallet using a recovery seed that I have on here. Because every wallet that you get, you need to do a backup recovery seed where you manually write down a bunch of words. It uses a format, not a format, but a standard called BIP 39. It's 2,048 different words that can exist up to 12, 18, or 24 combinations of those words. So I was trying to do the geek out and get into the math of that. And it was like something like, how many different combinations can you have of those words? It was like, I think 41 to the 10 to the 18th power, something like that. So it's, a 10 with 18 zeros after it, different combinations. It was just ridiculous. And that's why that's so protected, because it's almost impossible to try to regenerate this, manually, or even having a computer try to figure this out. So this recovery seed is tied to your private key. So that way, if I destroy this particular hardware wallet, I have this stored somewhere super duper safe, locked away, that I could then buy another another treasure, or even a ledger, throw this 24 different words into that are all in the right order, and it will able to regenerate my private key so I can get my money back. So you could actually put this on 3 or 4 different hardware wallets if you want. Wouldn't recommend it because then you got a lot flipping around. But
So what do you call the list of words?
it's called BIP 39, BIP 39. I know the B stands for Bitcoin. I don't remember what the other 2 letters stand in that acronym. But there's 2,048 different words. And then it's a matter of how they're combined into that 24 different word sequence.
And that's your backup, is your BIP 39 is
Yep.
your backup of your hardware wallet. So presumably you want to store that BIP 39 in a few different places, including one printed out somewhere.
I wouldn't even recommend, and they don't recommend even in a digital format, because again, the whole point of it is to keep it from out of the digital world or hands, where that if your computer gets hacked, your OneDrive, Google Drive, or whatever, maybe you have a text file and even you got it password coded, somehow it ever gets out there, that they now have those 24 words that they could restore it. So they recommend not even having it digital, only a hard copy locked away, hidden wherever that only you know about.
And if you look at the recent situation in Maui, terrible situation, where people's homes were completely destroyed by fire, if you had printed this out and you kept it at home, even in a fireproof safe, depending on the level of safe, you may have lost the contents of the safe because it might not have been able to withstand the fire. You then could have a real problem.
Yep. So there's definitely different levels of risk here. And so that's something that, each individual needs to assess and maybe make, like I said, a second paper copy and store it off-site somewhere.
Can we send them to Nick?
Yeah.
I'll keep it safe. Matt, actually think about that. Are you picking those?
Nope.
The phrases, or do they give you a lot and it's already set with that? They
give you, it's not specific to the device. It's specific to how the device is initiated. Because the device itself has that algorithm, and I'm not sure what the algorithm is off the top of my head, but it is always generating a new private key that's unique. Because again, going back to even looking at a BIP 39, 2,048 different words, and you throw them into a 24 word sequence, the amount of different variances that you can get are just astronomical. So I'm kind of curious, what is the likelihood that another treasure could generate maybe the same private key? I don't know.
Or maybe there's some kind of a backstop from that happening.
Yeah, and maybe it's because something with the serial number on the Trezor device, and that the Trezor device has a unique serial number, and then when it goes through a wipe, it reruns that through another, maybe some sort of a salt or something like that hash, and generates a new one. But either way, however it generates that new private key when you wipe it, it has a new sequence of words that it gives you. And so we'll demonstrate that today here.
And to take a quick cheap shot at Gen Z, if you're looking for an extra level of protection, you can just write it in cursive.
Boom, boom.
Low blow. That was awesome.
You know what? But they're smart enough to use ChatGPT now, so that could interpret it for them.
There you go.
Touche.
All right, you want me to get now into the hardware wallet?
Yes,
I think
sir.
that's a good time now.
Are you actually going to wipe out your thing?
So, for this demonstration, I am going to wipe out my hardware wallet for your entertainment, and education.
Wow.
Is Eric reimbursing you for any loss?
No. So I am trusting, folks. I am trusting what I have on this piece of paper is going to restore, because clearly you can see there are funds in that bar chart there
Yep.
that are associated with my crypto down there. So here we go.
Hold on, before you do that.
Right there, Matt, before you start. Oh, Eric, may I ran you over
Yeah,
there?
go ahead.
The green line, what is that? Do you just have one crypto, or is that just...
It was all the crypto I imported from my software wallet at that date and time.
I was just curious before we started again.
I just want to try out this feature. I've been waiting patiently, and I'm going to give you a drum roll here, Matt.
Eric, were you going to say something before you
Yeah,
started?
hold on. Before you do that, do you have this backed up somewhere else, Matt?
No.
Eric's really worried.
He's really just goosing it here.
It is on this piece of paper, Eric.
Have you done this before?
I am not obliged to say that. That's something we're going to cut out of the podcast for entertainment of the folks watching.
Okay. I'm concerned. I don't want you to lose.
I am Eric. This is how much. This is
The lab track.
This is how much I love you guys. I want to show you that and demonstrate this for your enjoyment. And so here we go.
Drum roll.
All right.
Okay, ready?
Again.
Yep.
Oh, that's a joke. That's a joke. We want the anticipatory
All
roll.
right. So yeah. You can save that other drum roll for when I can't restore it.
We'll save the laughing for that.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're hitting settings here. We're hitting device. We are going down to factory reset, folks.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Resetting this device removes all its data. Reset your device only if you have a safe offline backup of your recovery seed, which allows you to restore your funds. I understand this action.
Yeah. Is there a way that you could check on here that what you have on that paper matches? Just for somebody else, right? If they were going to do this, is there a way to verify it on that paper?
You can, in the app here, there is a live testing that you can check to make sure it still is good. But you know what? We're not even going to do that. We're just going
to risk it for the biscuit.
Yep. So here we go, folks. So now it says follow the screens on your Trezor, and it's confirming on here. Do you want to delete? Confirm. It just gave me a status bar, and
there you go.
It's gone.
I'm uncomfortable.
It's gone. It's gone. Like so, right now, Eric, the ledger has the public key. I have no longer a private key on a digital device to be able to interact with that public key anymore. Now that everyone can see that we got a fresh device, so when you go to the store or you go to your favorite online retailer or whatever and buy a Trezor or Ledger, it's going one of the first things that it wants to do is check that you got the latest firmware is installed and go through all that fun stuff. So, we'll went through and made sure I had the latest firmware. It's ready. Great.
Eric looks visibly uncomfortable.
Sweaty palms all over.
I hope this works.
So create new wallet, folks. We're going to create.
Well, once you recover a new wallet?
Yep. So this is where that paper seed comes in.
Are you doing create or are you doing recover?
Yeah,
I created a new one.
You're not going to recover. You're going to do a new one.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that money. It's gone. I don't care about it. No. Standard seed backup. All right. So now choose the backup process. So now it's asking me, do you really want to create a new wallet? It's got a nice little old looking CGA style text there from 1987. So, all right. Confirming. Great. So it needs backup. So now the Trezor shows like, hey, we need to create a backup. So this is where you get your 24 seed, different words. So we'll do create backup here. Recovery seed backup is a series of randomly generated words created by your Trezor. So it's important that you write it down.
Matt, you can't put so in Nick's case, Nick has a lot of cats. He would probably pick the cat names.
40 cats.
Yeah,
But
Texas, Liberty, USA, all those different words he's got for his cats.
I think they were named after handguns at one point.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Smith and Wesson.
Glock,
Ruger.
Springfield,
Big.
Ruger. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we're good.
People name their dogs Ruger. Story recovery state. So, yep, here we go. So now it's generating. So just give you an example here. So write down the seed. First word shows control. And then this is where I'd be writing it down on that nice piece of paper or another piece of paper that I'm going to store away somewhere far away. So if my house burnt down, maybe you can still get to it. So now it gave me a second word, venue. I'm just going through this because otherwise we got 24 words here. Third word, panther. Fourth word, cabin. Fifth word, position. Sixth word, basic. And then now it even goes again through it one more time. So here we are back to the first word again, control, because it wants to make sure that you wrote those down the first time accurately. So I'm just going to fly through these words again.
Which cat's your favorite?
We'll go with Smith and Wesson, maybe.
All right. So now this is where I've got my theoretical seed on paper now. And now this is where I create a PIN for the wallet to unlock it. And so this is, so if somebody steals the actual wallet itself and tries to plug it into another computer, they would also have to know my memorized PIN in order to unlock it and then make it be able to communicate with the different ledgers out there, the blockchains. So I hit confirm. So now this is a really cool feature. So this isn't being hidden just for the YouTuber's view or your view. This is actually how the software functions. So you actually have to look at your screen and it's got 9 digits in a particular order. They're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in order. They're all different. So that way, if you have malicious actor on your workstation that's like trying to maybe do some sort of a click or, monitor where the clicks are happening at, they can't grab the PIN that you were entering into this. So, and that actually does this every time you connect your hardware wallet to the software to be able to communicate with the blockchain. It will always display the 9 digits in a different order on your hardware wallet screen. So I'll do that again. So now 1 is up here, 1, 1, and 9 is now over here. 9, 9. Enter. And so now I've set the PIN on this wallet. Blank, brand new, private key wallet. And then I can choose what coins that I want this software, what blockchain that I want it to communicate with and confirm my, private key with. So we'll just do Litecoin, we'll throw in there. We'll do Bitcoin Cash, we'll do Dogecoin and complete setup.
So Matt, that only allowed you to pick a handful of coins.
Correct. It only works with the major coins. So
it does.
This is where if you want to get into the fringe, we'll call it coins, you'd want to have a software wallet for. So I haven't looked to see if there's a way to enable more coins on here, but this is running the latest firmware. So, and the firmware is what allows the wallet to and software to communicate with that particular crypto blockchain. So now this is where you can even have multiple wallets on here. So a standard wallet, you can have where it is kind of think of it as it's just a wide open wallet. Somebody steals your regular bifold wallet that you have or whatever, or your purse, man bag, whatever you'd have, open it up and there's all your cash. And you can do it that way too, standard wallet. But of course, it's still protected by that PIN that we set up. But you can even add another sub wallet that even has a passphrase to protect it even at that level. So I could put maybe some fun money into my standard wallet that I don't care if seriously somebody figured out my PIN on my device and got to. But then I could even have a sub wallet that's protected even with a passphrase as well. And I could put funds into that. So now you're looking at 1, the malicious actor has to get a hold of my wallet. 2, they got to figure out the PIN. And then 3, if they got a hold of the PIN, they could maybe get into my standard wallet, assuming I even put funds in there. Or I could throw another even passphrase on top of that to even make that lockdown. So we're just going to go, for the sake of this, for simplicity, just a standard wallet here view. We'll unhide everything here so you can see that there's, it's with the private key that it has on here. It's checking all those blockchains to see if my public key that is associated with my private key exists up there. And you can see there's nothing that exists with the public key that would be generated. So this is where you can also see, if you go to accounts here, you can get a few more details into it. But let's say, for the sake of somebody watching this video, if they want to send some random Bitcoin to this, I could hit receive here, show the full address, and this will be exposed to the entire world now on YouTube. And watch, I'll probably wipe this and somebody will throw in like $500 and it's gone. But here's the public key. So if anybody watching this could send money to this public key, but I'm going to be wiping this, those of you out there, and it is going to be gone. So if you gave this $1 worth of Bitcoin, it's going to be lost on the blockchain forever.
I'll put my wallet in the chat for everybody who wants to donate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, throw it out.
So it's kind of like the Venmo address or your PayPal address where you give it to somebody and then they can pay you that way.
And exactly. And just to show you that it is different, this public key. So what are we looking at here? The last four, KQ4X. So let's just do this for sake of fun again. We're going to wipe this. It won't take long to go through that process again. Not reset app, but device. Start and access the blockchain. Of course, still no money in there because this is a brand new, again, private and public keys. And if I go now to my accounts and go back to the Bitcoin, receive, show, that is a totally different number now. So there you go. Yeah, to send and receive, you can hit. So if I had Bitcoin in here, I could hit send, and then you give me your, public address. And if I had enough, Bitcoin to send you, or enough dollars to convert it to, etc., I can hit review and send, and then it takes a little bit of time to communicate with the blockchain and finally show up. But you would see that on your either software wallet or hardware wallet. So you can find your public address so that you can, switch money just like Venmo, where you have a QR code.
Is there, Matt, is there a fee to send the funds back and forth?
Yep, there are fees. I think it's a couple of dollars. It's usually based, I think it's a certain I believe it's a certain percentage on how much you're sending. But there is fees to do that. And if I recall, those fees actually, though, are somehow provided to the blockchain, keeping that up and running or whatever. But don't quote me on that. Do a little digging, but I believe those fees, because each soft hard wallet has a different fee than even hardware wallets too. So, and I don't know if that's because the software wallet might have a discount because they are a software wallet working with the blockchain frequently, but then they add their own fees onto it to be able to make money. Where maybe with when you have a hardware wallet, you're interacting with the blockchain directly, and that's just the hard number that goes directly to that, blockchain's resources. So, like I said, don't quote me on that. Do a little digging on that, but I believe that's what it is.
I kind of want to see the restore.
That was all I was going to say too.
All right. Well, I'll give a little bit more. I'll give a little more tour of just kind of the interface here. So, pretty straightforward, buying and receiving. Here you can have, when you go into the settings of the application, you can change, what language, the interface is showing what I love it. What even fiat currency, it even has considered it fiat. Many different currencies from all over the world here you can choose from. And color scheme, application log, updating the suite, different feature sets that might come out. But then if you go to the device, now this is where you have a little bit more control over the device. So if you want to update the firmware, you can also switch the firmware on the device. So if you were only using Bitcoin on your device, you could switch it to a specific Bitcoin firmware. Why you would want to do this is because then there's less firmware updates because you don't have to deal or worry about all the other coins that the whole wallet has to support. So if you only care about Bitcoin, you could switch it to just that firmware. And it just means that there's less updates and less likelihood that your hardware wallet could become corrupt. So there's always that potential too with corrupt firmware. But that's what this is for. Hopefully we're going to see my money again someday.
Man, I suppose that's also another security. I mean, if you're only going to use the Bitcoin, you could switch that type, right? That might be an extra layer of security, no?
Yep.
Did you have to install any software or drivers on your computer, or is it compatible with Mac, PC, Linux, what have you?
Yeah, no, I didn't have to do any special drivers. For the example of even this podcast, I quickly connected this to my iMac because I couldn't get camera and video working on a different computer where I actually have the software installed, and it just detected it right away. And so all I had to do was install the Trezor Suite software, and away it went after I plugged in my PIN code.
And then does it have some sort of internal battery or something like that? And what I'm thinking of is if you're storing it there and then say you wanted to keep this offsite in a safety deposit box and not touch it for 10 years, do you have to worry about periodically recharging it or anything like that?
It's all needs to be powered through the USB connection. So that's something to consider too, because maybe the USB standard changes over time and you did put it away for some long-term safekeeping. Make sure you've always got some sort of an adapter or some way to be able to, again, wink, wink, recover your paper steed on the new version, because you can install it assuming it still supports that BIP39 standard at that point in time in history. So,
is a hardware wallet similar to the software wallet where to get it off get your assets off the exchange, you have to send it to the wallet address, just like you'd be sending someone else money or making a payment? Does that work the same way with the hardware wallet?
Because of your private key being directly connected to your wallet, or your computer being connected directly to your wallet right now, and it's interacting with the private key, and the software able to translate that into public key on the blockchain. Yeah, so when I hit buy here, I could just type in how much I want, and it'll just show up here on my wallet. So there isn't really a way. The only reason why I would need to produce my public key is if somebody wants to send me, from their own personal wallets money. But otherwise, just going on the ledge, going on the actual blockchain itself and just kind of randomly going to the market and pulling it down, I don't have to produce my my public key or anything like that. At least when I say produce it, I don't mean via the algorithm and what it's doing behind the scenes with the software, but just, giving it out to the market and, hey, somebody give me some money here that I want 1/10 of a Bitcoin. So
do you keep any money on the exchange, or do you trade within your wallet and keep all of your assets there?
I trade all of it within the wallet. So,
Okay.
And just to be clear, when we say exchange and, wallet, so your wallet isn't, there's nothing being held on here except for the private key. So this has no idea how much Bitcoin I have, so that's all on the blockchain. Only the blockchain is aware of that. So again, if this thing gets destroyed, your Bitcoin, or crypto isn't destroyed with it, assuming you have a backup, because it's your information is all stored on that blockchain. So the same thing goes for your even software wallet. When you're viewing how much money you have, your software wallet is just interacting with the blockchain and doing a lookup to see how much your public key has associated with it out there. So, that's, if that makes a difference when I say exchange and kind of block, and how those funds are viewed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just know there's a lot of people that I interact with that just keep their money on the exchange because they're afraid to move it into the wallet, or for those security reasons. Obviously, much more secure in a wallet, whether it be software or hardware, than leaving it on the exchange.
And that wallet, Matt, that's a wallet that you're going to destroy, right?
Well, I've technically already destroyed it twice.
Well, where is the hardware? So, like, if you wanted to write down that hardware key, not the words, but like the key itself,
Right.
How do you find that?
That's a good question. This is where, some of my red team, kind of, how do we hack this thing now? That's like, how do I get into this thing to see if I can view the private key? I have not tried to go about that methodology. Like I cannot, from what I can see in the software suite here, I've not been able to find a way to do that clearly on the computer to be able to somehow read the contents on here. Because, for example, one thing that comes to mind is like a YubiKey here. This is very similar technology to what I'm using YubiKey as an example, but FIDO2 security keys. It's a private public key situation. So on this YubiKey are private keys that are stored and tied with public keys with an identity provider, Azure, Okta, wherever. And with the YubiKey software, or command line software, you can interact with the YubiKey to view the private keys on there. So, but I have not come across that yet with the hardware wallet. I haven't played around with that enough to see if there's something like that. So maybe that's another episode someday, is how do we, the dark side of hardware wallets? How do you get into one?
Yeah, how do you get into that? Because I also heard, like, you have those words written down, but also having the private key written down would work regardless if you had a hardware or a software wallet, as I understand it.
Yep.
Shall we restore?
We're all waiting for the restore.
Okay. I will have to stop the screen sharing because it does want the words
to
be inputted into there. So while I trust you to maybe block this from the general public's view, I still don't trust you.
Yeah. We don't need
All right.
that on the Riverside cloud either. That's fine. I think that's a good idea.
No, for sure. Let's get a drum roll when we're going to start back.
All right, so here we go, folks. So as you can, here we are. We're in the dashboard.
Right.
And there is, you're ready to use this. There's $0 there. So first off, I'm going to, let's wipe this thing again. So go back to the device. We're going to factory reset this for the third time. And it wants me to confirm, yep.
I remember back in the day when I had first started in IT, we had a couple critical backups that we were pulling from tape. And it was always like, your brow is sweating when you're restoring from that DAT tape that you had to stick in the base, and then you've got your incrementals. And I mean, you were just rolling the dice if it was going to work.
So recover wallet. So now it's asking what words were generated with that particular recovery. And so it was a 24 words, nice and secure. Great. Enter your recovery sheet word by word on your computer, or if you want to get advanced. So the reason why here, this goes back to, again, that red team, how do you hack a hardware wallet? So if you're still concerned that you had malicious software doing screen scraping or something, keystrokes, click strokes, you name it, you could go to an advanced recovery where you're entering it into the hardware wallet itself. And that would take a long time, not being some sort of a touch screen. So I am going to trust that my safe, and it's saying, do you really want to recover the device? Yep, confirm on my device. And so now it's giving me that gigantic 300 or 2048 word list. And now I have to choose, the right words that I wrote down in the appropriate order. So this, I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to have to stop the screen sharing temporarily, and then
Look at the reflection in his glasses. Let's see if we can suss it out.
Oh man, Chat GPT too. I gotta careful with all this. The click thing. If you guys all heard about that,
No.
What was it with ChatGPT?
The AI is able to detect via audio password keystrokes.
Oh yeah, that was at Black Hat last week or 2 weeks ago, where they above 95% accuracy. I think they showed it could tell what keys were being pressed. They were using a MacBook Pro, I believe. That's what you're talking about, right, Matt?
Yep.
I think we stumbled maybe upon a great marketing business idea there. AI safe keyboard.
Yes.
And Nick's, maybe it could just be like meow 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 meow.
Let's take it to Shark Tank.
His keyboard makes cat noises.
To mask the keystrokes.
Oh, he muted.
Oh, you scoundrel.
Go Matt. Go Matt.
He's gonna type now. He's gonna screw up the recovery because we're screwing with him. He's
The title of
sweating
this
now.
video is
Look at
gonna
the sweat
be-
coming down his forehead.
Yeah. The title of this video might be watch an IT expert lose thousands of dollars in crypto. Crypto
My mouth is
meltdown.
sweating now thinking about it.
Josh, what about that episode we were going to have where Jaden tattoos somebody or somebody tattoos Jaden?
I'm all about it. Tattoo challenge.
Yeah, well, there was some sort of like lock-picking bet in there or something that was going to be good.
Every time if you don't get it, you have to take a shot, and then the tattoo artist should have to take the shots.
I think, though, the tattooers should be just regular IT people doing tattoos for the
that's good
first
too.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Matt,
right.
how'd it go?
Well, we're gonna find out. Here's the drum roll.
Can you share your screen now for this one?
Yep, I'm trying to get the pleasure suite here. So now, oh, there we go. Look at the bar. I gotta go change my drawers now because that was getting a little too. Wow. So clearly you can see that it was. Now the thing is that the reason it took me a while is because when we first started this, I was actually going in order of those 24 words when it was asking me for the next word. But what you have to do is you have to look at your Trezor screen and it'll ask you what's the 13th word, what's the 5th word. So it does go through all 24 words, but it goes through them in random order. So I started off going 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, oh crud, I forgot to look at the screen. So then I had to restart. And then of course, with you guys talking, I am sweating. Like, wait, what word is that? Oh, it's okay, this one. So
Did the music help, though?
a little bit. I mean, I mean, it's a good jam, but I started getting a little distracted though too. But yeah, clearly I went directly off that piece of paper. So I got my money back. So that's
Nice. All's well that ends well.
Cool. Well, thanks, Matt, so much for doing this today. I think we should do another one on crypto down the road. There's an endless amount of chatting we can do about crypto and the crypto world.
You have been listening to The Audit, presented by IT Audit Labs. You can find more episodes and information at itauditlabs.com, Spotify, or by visiting our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In this current technology landscape, managing risk, among other operations, can be incredibly challenging. Let IT Audit Labs experts provide a detailed, thorough examination and preparation for your upcoming audit. Contact us to learn more. Thanks to our producer, Joshua J. Schmidt, and our audio-video editor, Cameron Troy Hill.